What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Canelo Alverez. Get this. Canelo Alverez sends a warning to Errol Spence about reactivating the Terence Crawford rematch clause. And this is what Canelo had to say. He said, quote, he said that I don't think it's time for Spence to retire. Crawford was just the best man that night. But if they fight again, it's just going to be the same thing. He, Crawford, is a better fighter. I respect Spence. I like Spence, but Crawford has everything. Those are the words of Canelo Alverez. And let me counterpunch. First of all, look, I'm laughing because when people talk in their second language, people say they're more pragmatic about what they're trying to say. They're not trying to sugarcoat. They're not trying to filter anything. They're trying to get their point across. And since they're trying to get their point across, it's like, it's going to be the same thing. Crawford has everything. He's better. He's just a better fighter. And instead of whatever you could say and however you could dress that up, being, English being your first language or whatever. And me looking at that, I'm more optimistic than Canelo. I agree with Canelo, but I'm more optimistic because I always knew that Terence Crawford was just a better fighter. I think we all knew. And I think what people were caught up on was the bullshit that they were throwing at us. For one, the fight couldn't even get made. For two, the politics, because supposedly why the fight couldn't get made was in the way of the fight ever happening anyway. So before we even talked about who could beat who, we had to worry about all the other stuff, right? We had to worry about that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Who's the marquee value? Who's the A side? And, those are the same thing we said about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford is the same thing we said 5 years ago around that same time all this shit brewed up about Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? And a lot of times those things do get in the way of someone getting their ass whooped. Well, eventually it was ironed out and we seen who got their ass whooped. Okay. And looking at these guys now based on a second fight, the reason I'm so optimistic is about Errol Spence is because Errol Spence, I think, since he's been in there with Terence Crawford, I think he will be able to do more. I think he will be able to land a little better. I think, he won't have no excuses for him looking weak, feeling weak, timing off, all that other shit, okay? And I think he will do better. I think the same thing about Errol Spence is the same thing I'd said about Anthony Joshua. He did better with Alexander Usyk, but Alexander Usyk still beat him though, didn't he? You know what I mean? I mean, it didn't really matter. I mean, and you can't say it doesn't really matter, but I think if you're a fan of Errol Spence, I think you should take and have peace and make peace with the idea of Errol Spence improving with a guy that was able to beat him not once, but twice back to back. And I think, he will do better the second time. Will he win? No, he won't. Because for the same reason that people are claiming Errol Spence did bad is because, he was weight drained or he stayed at the weight class too long. That's exactly what Terence Crawford said that they were going to make the excuse of having and saying anyway. Was the same reason Terence Crawford said that he was making problems, making 147. So if they go to 154, I think they will be in a similar boat, if not better. So it might be a better fight for Terence Crawford because he doesn't have to make 47 anymore. We just wanted to know who's the best of the welterweights at the time. You know what I mean? Because the undisputed is undisputed for a reason. Okay. And it's like, and when you should get all the belts, okay, party's over. Okay. You got them all. Take pictures, hang them up, return them, and move up and move forward, you know. But I do think like Canelo, but I just think, you know, people that support Errol Spence should know that he will be able to do and have more success with Terrence Crawford in the second fight. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Canelo Alverez warning Errol Spence about the rematch clause activation. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!